What do y'all think of my little studio space? Then I have a signed Switchfoot poster from the concert that we went to. How do I be a very present father? Because I believe in purposeful parenting, especially in my role as a dad. So many different things. Hello, and we are back for another episode of Welcome to Medins. What do y'all think of my little studio space? This is pretty exciting for me, honestly. So I have this set up in our band practice room, so the place that we meet every single Saturday morning to spend time writing new music as a band. What you can't see is here in front of me, I actually have my drum kit, my DW custom series 6-piece drum kit with my whole cymbal setup. I even have a set of bongos set up over here just for an extra fun sound touch. I have my Deborah audio mics set up on my kit, getting ready to record some demo music. The only thing that's delaying me right now actually is that the bottom head on my snare drum recently broke, probably due to over tightening, but I was taking down my double bass pedals to bring them to church this past week, and I look and there were these thin plastic bits on the floor. I'm like, what in the world? And I looked up and there was a huge hole in the bottom of my snare head, and I was like, oh man, I need that for recording for Deborah audio. But thankfully, PJ acted pretty quick and ordered some new drum heads for me. So I'm really excited. Pretty soon I'm going to be replacing that on here and getting that demo video out. But like a big motivator actually for me to finally kind of utilize this space was the work that was going to need to be put in for that video, because I needed to set up the space to be able to put our X32 soundboard, so that way I could plug all the mics in and then EQ the whole thing from right here for myself, while not having to move from behind the drum kit very much. So, I mean, a few of these things will have to move for once that all happens. We're waiting until after I replace the drum head, but also after our sister's wedding. So I'm videoing this beforehand, but we are now, today is the 3rd, 19th. So we are 16 days away from Deborah getting married here. Once it gets released, she would have been married last month. It'll be her and Ethan would have been married for about 3 weeks by the time this episode comes out. And then by that point in time, I should have had the whole thing recorded. But we're keeping this here for right now, and then we'll bring the X32 in after that, because we're going to be using all of our own sound equipment at her wedding. And so that was just a whole kind of logistical fiasco that we had to figure out. But wanted to then make that space available here for the X32. But then I was like, well, I got some time to utilize the space for Welcome to the Medins, as well as my own little workspace for doing the freelance graphic design and video work that I've been doing. What's really nice is Daniel actually works right over here, so it's like an open workspace environment, as he does all the programming that he does, working his butt off as an expert security engineer every single day. So I get to be in a similar workspace with him, with my drum kit. And then here what you don't really see over here is I got some drums, some drum shells here that I'm going to be refurbishing for our church. I'm going to be sanding them, although the paint or veneer, whatever it is on these heads, or not on these heads, but on these shells, has been very resistant. So Pearl, back in the 70s, whatever you did with your World Series kits, you did a very good job, because it is so hard to sand and remove this stuff There are some dings and dents here, so obviously this kit way, way, way back in the day before I got my hands on it was mistreated, which is really sad, but a big motivator for why it needed to get refurbished. So I'm going to refurbish this and then bring it back to the church. So back here, under here, is a little bit of a mess of old drum shells, old drum heads, some additional kind of like extra equipment, stands, and pieces that I have, cables that I haven't found the perfect spot for yet, my guitar pedal board, actually, which has been nicely fitted and updated by my brothers who have really helped me out. So it's kind of this music/video editing spot, and it's nice and cozy. It's this like neat little corner that honestly is outlined by this rug space that I have here. So I'm just super excited about it. And then plans for it coming up are you see some artwork here from one of my old U students back at High Point Church in Rochester. And then you see Tom Glover's work of art here of the McLaren Formula One car back in Monaco last year. I'm going to be getting some new art pieces from him, and I'm really excited about that. I'm getting frames, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang these up, and then kind of between them, I'm going to put sound panels that you see here, and then I have a signed Switchfoot poster from the concert that we went to back in... I don't have the ticket stub with me. Actually, yeah, I do. It's playing a bookmark for me in my Bible, actually. Back in October, on October 27th, 2023. I have a signed poster because we got to be a part of their VIP experience. I want to get that all framed up, keep that nice because, I mean, we've talked about Switchfoot before on this podcast. They have meant so much to us over the years. They still mean a lot to us. I am probably Chad Butler's biggest fan. His kindness and generosity when we were on site helping film the music video for Stars on the Nothing Is Sound album. He just kind of solidified his spot as like the top influencer of drummers for me. And so I want to make sure to take good care of that poster, get it all framed, and then I'm going to frame my U students' work of art, and it'll become this really cool space that then ultimately I'll be able to get some bigger shots. You guys will see the full drum kit. You'll get to see all the space when it all gets cleaned up. The whole thing is acoustic, soundboarded, and with all the artwork and all that stuff hanging up here kind of in the midst of things. I might even hang up some of my Hot Wheels. I collect Hot Wheels. My favorite stuff is the Mercedes IWC Hot Wheels. IWC is my favorite watch company out of Schaffhausen, Switzerland. Their timepieces are absolutely beautiful. You see them actually quite a bit in Formula One because IWC is one of the big sponsors for the Mercedes Formula One race team. Formula One, Mercedes, if you wouldn't mind, IWC, I would love to attend some of your races. So, hey, a shout out to get some tickets to be able to be in your VIP suite there and see some of your races here in the U.S. That'd be awesome. But then I also love the Gulf Oil Hot Wheels too, that they have the baby blue and the orange. Just looks absolutely beautiful on the Hot Wheels. So I have a pretty decent collection of those as well. And I was kind of thinking about intermittently hanging those up in here too. So you'll probably see a fair bit of my passion for Formula One art, Hot Wheels, music, of course. And then I might even hang up some floating shelves and put some of my UCS Lego collector kits, my Star Wars ships up there. So it's kind of becoming like this really cool kind of dream studio space I've always wanted. And a big motivator for that was the Deborah Audio drum mic demoing, because I was just like, I really need to be able to have a good economical space that is nice and enclosed, that I can access everything, but also has everything I really love around it, as that extra motivation and creative, encouraging space that helps to kind of make all that flourish. So you guys saw me post about the space not too long ago, and I'm just excited to finally get to talk about it, and seeing how it's all kind of coming to fruition. Because as I stepped away from working corporately over a year ago, we're at years, year and a half ago, this is just been becoming like a dream come true. And I know I've talked about that before, but I really believe in pursuing your dream, the things that are so deeply ingrained in you that if you didn't pursue it, you would spend the rest of your life regretting, instead of spending the rest of your life in regret and not pursuing it because you're afraid of what would happen if you'd fail. Actually taking the steps forward. And there will be failures along the way. I was just talking with my buddy and my brother Matt, who you're going to get to meet in one of these upcoming episodes as well, about stepping out in faith and pursuing your dreams, but that you will face what will seem like failure along the way, but the only thing that actually equals failure is not learning from the lesson from those situations. Otherwise, it is simply a roundabout form of success. If you're willing to learn from what seems like a failed situation, if you learn how to adjust and change and then make new decisions with that newfound wisdom and understanding, it's not a failure at all, because you learned and you developed your learning to be able to take greater steps forward towards your dreams. And I have had my fair share of kind of little failure moments in the past year and a half. Still kind of navigating the space between wanting to be a very attentive husband and father, very present at home, to also making sure I'm getting all these different projects for like Base Camp Hope or our church or Welcome to Medins or Breakthrough. It looks like I may be helping another buddy of mine with the social media for his entrepreneurial pursuits. So once that gets solidified, I'll talk about him as well, because I think that you guys should definitely check him out. I designed his logo, and that's not the only reason why you should check him out, but he's also a really good guy. So trying to balance like the schedule of how do I be a very present father, because I believe in purposeful parenting, especially in my role as a dad, the influence I have over where my kids are going to go in life. How I conduct myself is very important for them to get to become the men and women they're supposed to be. So managing that with all of this has been kind of a big learning process for me, because I want to be with them all the time. I love and adore my wife so much. She's just got my heart, and I love and adore my kids. That, of course, I want to be with them all the time, but I've also been learning, like, if I'm there all the time, they don't necessarily learn how to handle things themselves. They don't grow that needed independence for eventually the day that they leave home, right? I want them to be able to make decisions without me. My job is to train them and help prepare them to make the right decisions down the line. But at some point, it'll be making those right decisions without having to have me right there to be like, Dad, is this the right thing? It's like, no, I trained you and developed you, taught you, so that way you could do this all on your own, because you are your own man to my sons, and to my daughters, you're your own woman. I taught you how to make the right decisions, but now it's going to be facing the world in your own way, your own God-given purpose, and pursuing the dreams that he's put on your heart. But in order to then be like, hey guys, you have to pursue your dreams. And not like you have to, but I mean, like, it's so important that, like I'd mentioned not too long ago, that if they didn't, like if it's just something so deeply ingrained in their heart and they didn't pursue it, that they'd spend the rest of their life regretting. I don't want them to have to do that. But in order for me to make sure they don't do that, I first need to pursue those dreams and reach them myself. So that way, then, as a physical example and, doing what I say and not just saying what to do and then not following through, I need to set that example with my own life and everything that comes on top of that: parenting, marriage, my relationship with the Lord, ministry, all these different things, keeping up friendships, building the networks to be able to help other people down the line. There's just a lot. It's so figuring out how to manage all of this with parenting and marriage has been a challenge. And at times I've had some hard conversations with my wife where she's just like, you need to get out of the house. Not that, and she's, I love her so much. She's like, not that I'm trying to get rid of you, but I see you need to do this. Like, you need that purpose, but the only way you're really going to be able to do it is to get out of the house for what would be your work day period of time. It's like, well, yeah, I understand that, but I want to be with you. Yes, and we love that, but you be with us fully when you are at home. But if you're constantly kind of battling between the two, you're not with us fully and you're not with this fully. So you have your attention spread in a way that neither of those things really benefit. And so that's been an area where I've felt like quite a bit of failure as a husband, as a leader, and as a dad, which has been kind of hard to face and admittedly very humbling. But the only way it would necessarily be a failure is if I didn't learn from it and I didn't change and adjust to then be like, okay, this is what happened last time. Now I'm going to adjust. Otherwise, it's essentially just the definition of insanity, which is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, but getting the same result every time. Expecting a different result, yeah, but getting the same result every time. So, in that, I wonder, like, if I put quotations in my talking, how much of my actual conversation would be run-on sentences. Today is definitely a little bit more of like a random series of thoughts, but all very different, important things I want to be able to dive into later on. I don't know if any of y'all ever listen to yourselves talk. I, with this, have to listen to myself talk a lot more because after this, I'll go over here into Premiere Pro and then I have to edit everything, right? Attach the video to the audio and then adjust some things. Like if there's a moment that I sound like an absolute idiot, I'd edit that out maybe, but or I leave it for you to laugh about later. I don't know. I have to listen to myself talk a lot, so I hear all the ums, the ahs, the buts, the so's. And so now it's just become more of a prevalent thing on my mind of how much am I talking that sounds like a run-on sentence? What are my word space fillers? What are my comfort phrases when I don't necessarily know what to say? What are another thing I paid attention to, and this may annoy you that I'm pointing it out because now you guys will see it in all upcoming videos if you haven't noticed already, is I don't know, my face gets like itchy, so you see this, that's, I think, is a pretty common one. I like touching my face, but it's like I feel something brush across my face, or all of a sudden right here gets itchy, or, something right there is a little itchy, or play with my beard. And so trying to get more on top of not doing that and removing my space filler words and the ums, the buts, the ahs, so's. Probably a big help for that is if I talk slower. But I've also had people tell me that I do talk slow, but my voice is calming, and so it's almost like someone that would put them to sleep, but not like because they're bored, but because it's comforting. But I suppose if I give myself more of that space, it's not that all of a sudden I rush somewhere. Now I got to kind of quick catch up with my own brain and then start the new thought, the new sentence, whatever it is. Have you guys ever seen Victor Borga? He has this great comedy bit. There was one. He has this great comedy bit about if we inserted punctuation verbally, like what we see in books. You should look that up. I think it's just Victor Borga punctuation, verbal punctuation comedy or something like that. It's hilarious. I've been honestly kind of tempted at times to do some of that here. Right now, I'm preparing for the speech I'm going to give at Deborah and Ethan's wedding. Thinking about inserting that in there. Borrowing it, I don't know. Obviously, by this point in time, the wedding's over, so I'll be getting some video of that. Assuming I don't sound like an absolute crazy person, I will post my speech in one of the upcoming episodes of Welcome to the Medins, as well as if I have permission from Catherine and Drew and whatever other of my siblings, give a speech at their wedding. Kind of show that, because I want to show you guys too how much family means to us, as we are a huge family, and wanting to have it be right. It's welcome to Medins. It's not welcome to the Medin Sean. It's welcome to the whole entire family. And weddings for us are a huge thing for us to be able to show each other honor, especially the one getting married and the in-law coming in. And so capturing those moments, especially it being Deborah, we do have some video footage from my wedding. I haven't seen any from Drew's and Hannah's or PJ's and Holly's or Catherine's and Tyler's, Sarah's and James. Like, I didn't do any video work for us, and I feel kind of bad. But, like, this is like the last of this generation of Medins getting married, and so I want to capture it. But I have the fun challenge of navigating the space, because there's also a photographer there, and not wanting to have my cameras in the shots, and trying not to be around when my camera is out, having to move because I'm also part of the wedding party. A lot of fun stuff. So I got to figure all that out. But yeah, I'll post at least my speech for you guys to hear. So I've been writing that. I don't usually write speeches because going off the top of my head is a little bit more comfortable. Otherwise, I feel like I way overthink everything I'm going to say, and then it just becomes like a paranoid, like clenching my cheeks, and this is, I love you guys so much. Congratulations on your wedding day. Yes, nailing it. Word for word. But this time is like, when I have given speeches in the past, I obviously tear myself apart afterward, because like, I wanted to say this. I should have said this. I should have said this differently. I think that might have come off the wrong way. I didn't feel as honoring as it could have been. So this one, I'm really actually trying to write, go through different iterations, and come down to my ultimate 2 to 5 minute speech. I don't want it to be a long one. Maybe that is long, but 2 to 5 minutes seems short to me. And then just love on them and honor them with my words, and encouragements, and pass on wisdom that I've gained in the past almost 6 years of marriage. Just in wisdom from this stage, not like I'm way up here, but wanting to, as best I can to my sibling, pass on what I know to enable her and her husband to succeed. And then bless the people around there who will hear it. So many different things. This is so much fun for me. Again, the space, the wedding prep, everything, my plans, music. verbal punctuation, all the odd things I'm learning about myself as I have to watch myself, listen to myself for these. So much going on. Hopefully some of it's entertaining, at least to you guys, just to hear this dude given the very rawest version of his mind and real life. So if you want to keep up, go check us out at Welcome to the Medins on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Nail the little bell so that way you get notified of all of our new episodes. You can also follow us on Spotify. I release the Spotify episodes on Thursdays. Those are just audio. So if you want to check it out ahead of time, go over to Spotify, follow us there, share those. And then the YouTube versions are released the next day on Friday. You can also follow us on Instagram, see all of our shorts, our posts, and like us on Facebook. There's a lot of different things to check out. I also want to say, go check out the Old Arthouse if you haven't already. Tom has been updating his website with some new artwork coming out that I am really excited to be seeing, especially with the new pieces coming my way that you're going to see on my wall. Go get yourself some prints. But he's also doing a special series of the actual original artwork pieces that you can buy too. Those are a little more pricey, but they're going to be worth every cent that you spend. Follow him on Instagram so you can keep up with what he's doing. But I'm looking forward to seeing you next time on Welcome to the Medins.